I think it's time to start. Hi, everyone. My name is Tetiana Aleksandrova. I'm super happy to be here in Women in Tech conference, and I'm a CEO and the co-founder of Subsense, a brain-computer interface company. Couple of words about me. I am a first-time founder, 7 years in brain-computer interface, and now I'm building my second brain-computer interface company. And I can tell that I am a serial BCI entrepreneur, which is pretty rare. Maybe I'm the only one in the world. I don't know. Up to date, I raised $40 million, and recently I closed round for Subsense for my company, $20 million. And two funny things about me. When I grew up, I always wanted to become a chemist. I never had eventually a chemical education. I decided to go in business, but now I'm leading a chemistry-driven neurotech company. Another funny thing about me is when I was a kid, I always wanted to live 10 parallel lives because I thought and I think that life is so cool that we shouldn't be limited by one choice, right? Like I wanted to be a chemist, and also I wanted to be a chef and the president and the astronaut. And right now, I believe that I'm building the tech to make that real. Why I'm here? First of all, to entertain you, because I believe that it's important. I want to make it fun, and I want to have fun as well. Secondly, to nerd out a little bit, I want to tell you a couple of cool things that you may never heard of before. And also, I want to show you a vision, my vision of our future, which may open a new horizon into what you're doing right now or what you maybe should do. And another important thing, I want to tell you about the huge breakthrough in brain-computer interface area that is happening right now. So what is brain-computer interface? What is BCI? On the screen, you can see two very famous TV shows. It's a Black Mirror and Free Body Problem from last year. And these devices on their head, tiny one, the bigger one, it's exactly brain-computer interface. So what is that? Usually it's a device that can read and stimulate your brain with the signals. Depends on the device. And on the right side of the screen, you can see some companies, big players of this industry. For example, Neuralink, this company is led by Elon Musk. You probably heard of this company before. I want to tell you a little bit about types of brain-computer interface. It's very important because if one day you decided to connect your life with this area, it's crucial to understand the basics. And this is the basics. First, there are two types of brain-computer interface, invasive and non-invasive. Invasive brain-computer interface, you can see the example on the screen. It's some electrodes that are connected directly to your brain, and usually it required a surgery. Another thing is non-invasive. It's something that you can usually wear on your head, something like a headphones or a band, whatever, and usually it's not required any surgery. But what's the problem with the current technology? Invasive brain-computer interface, as I said before, required surgery. So because of that, it's a lot of issues with biocompatibility, with scaling, because healthy individuals like you and I, we don't want to make a surgery, right? Unless it's unnecessary. For non-invasive, completely non-invasive brain-computer interface, there is another issue. The signal is so noisy that when you are hypothetically imagine something closer to sci-fi TV show, I do not believe that it would be possible to execute that with completely non-invasive brain-computer interface. And I know what I'm talking about because my first BCI company was completely non-invasive. Although these companies who are in non-invasive field, they're creating a lot of different products, like for your attention control or meditation, which is great, but it's just a different brain-computer interface that I envision in our future and sci-fi movies are talking about, right? So at Subsense, we made a breakthrough, and I want to tell you about that because it really changed the industry itself. We are taking advantage of both worlds. We are creating nanoparticles, tiny, tiny things that comes into your brain through your nose. They're super small. They're smaller than nerve cells. They are acting as an antenna in your brain. They're reading the signal and sending it back with, of course, excellent biocompatibility and energy. How does it work? There are three components of our technology. First is nanoparticles that can read the signal from your brain. It's plasmonic nanoparticles. Another one is the one that can send the signal back on the certain area of your brain. It's magnetoelectrical nanoparticles. And third is device that can receive the signal and send it back. I can talk a lot about the technology itself, but I want not to stop on that. I want to talk about applications more. Why is that important? And if you are trying to get at least one thought from my entire presentation, I want you to remember that right now the brain-computer interface market is changing. Why it's changing? Because most of the companies who were playing on this market before, they were creating and competing for one particular application, usually for people with special needs. What we are doing right now, we are creating a platform that will help future players of brain-computer interface create 1,000 of different applications. This is the main difference, and this is happening right now. Is it even real? You may ask, or I just made it up. It is. It is real. There have been over 100 papers on BCI nanoparticles in the last decade, and about 70% of what we're doing right now it's called transferring the technology into the product from academia. I gave an example of a very big article that you can read if you are interested in. Also, we are working with the famous universities like Stanford, like UCSC in Santa Cruz. We work with ETH in Zurich. They're amazing collaborators, best engineers and professors and teams who help us to create these nanoparticles. Also, we are working with a lot of collaborators around the world, and everybody are very engaged in sharing their expertise because it's a very multidisciplinary task. It should be. It's involved chemistry, physics, neuroscience, nanoscience, and many others, and everything should be aligned. But it works well for now. But let's talk about the closest application. Let's talk about application itself. What about the horizon of 3-5 years? Of course, the first application we will create by our own, and we are creating it for those who need it most. We're helping patients with paralysis, with ALS, MS to use a computer, communicate with their loved ones, operate the mobility devices like a wheelchair with their thoughts. Also, we are planning to help people to manage symptoms of Parkinson, epilepsy, Alzheimer, and many other neurodegenerative diseases, also to treat chronic pain, addiction, depression, and anxiety. This is the horizon of 3-5 years old, but what about 5-10 years, 5-10 years horizon? I love to think about it as imagine that you can hack your brain from now on. Imagine anything in your brain that bothers you most. For example, for me, I always forget everything. And one of the first applications that I want to create is to store my memory somewhere else. Do not rely on my brain to remember everything. And imagine if you can have instant access 24/7 for everything that you ever learned, heard, felt, anything. And you maybe even want to not remember anything particular, which is great as well, right? Another cool thing, imagine that you can control your appetite from now on, and consuming food is not a problem anymore because you decide, not your brain, you decide what and when you want to eat, and you're not craving anymore. Another cool thing about 5-10 year horizon, it's brain to brain communication. Imagine that you can send thoughts and emotions to other people without losing any content. Like 80-90% of content might be lost with this transferring, right? Imagine that they will feel and understand everything exactly as you do it. Pretty cool, right? Another cool thing that have been described in many, many movies, it's accelerating learning. Imagine that from now on, learning Chinese or Japanese or any other language, Spanish, will not take years. It will take hours or maybe minutes. Who knows? I think that it's amazing opportunity for us to hack our brain. But that's not all. What about we will look what can happen in 10 plus year from now on? Remember, in the beginning of my presentation, I was talking about living 10 parallel lives. I believe that in our lifetime, it might be possible. Why do I believe so? Imagine that you can store not just your memory, but your emotions, your thoughts, like everything, your entire self. You can copy it and store somewhere else, not just in your body, not just in your brain. Imagine that you can upload your consciousness somewhere. Can we call it a digital immortality? I believe that yes. And when we're talking about potential opportunities and application that might be relevant to this technology, first of all, it's distributed consciousness, right? One mind, many bodies. Imagine that you can upload your consciousness in a different robots around the world, because robotics industry also is growing very, very fast right now. Teleportation. Why do you need to travel somewhere with your body if you can just upload your consciousness to other robots around the world? Consciousness time travel. Imagine that you can capture peak emotional states or something that's happening right now, like your birthday, your wedding, like the best moment of your life, and you can capture it. And then anytime in your life, you can just going back and look at it and feel it again. I think that's pretty amazing. And of course, the last but not least is multi-identity existence. Live a parallel version of yourself, meditating in Tokyo, building company in Silicon Valley, etc., etc. I know it's a lot to digest, and I know it might sound a little bit sci-fi, but a lot of sci-fi is happening right now. And why not this one? Let's talk a little bit about how the new tech may open tremendous opportunities for a new profession, a new brain-computer interface area. First of all, it's personal reality curator. It's somebody or some conscious self coordinates actions across multiple identities of your own and help to optimize the life strategies. Avatar body designer, not only thinking how your avatar looks, but also thinking about how to construct this body according to what you want this avatar to do, right? Multi-consciousness coach, train users to manage your multi-bodies and not to bring one life to another and not to create a mess out of it. And of course, the rental of robot agents. If we will have a lot of robots around the world, we need somebody who will help us to navigate it. It's just an idea first that came into my mind, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be so many of them. And I believe that a lot of changes will be not just in the professional field, but also in society. I believe that travel will become a luxury, because why should you travel if you can just upload your consciousness somewhere? It doesn't mean that we will not meet. It means that we will do it less. And as more robots can transfer the sensations to our real body, the less travel will be happening. And the same was going on right now with Zoom, right? And the work calls. Before Zoom, before online communication, we must meet online, right? Offline. Right now, it's not like that. Even if my partner or investor or my employees are sitting like the next door, next building, we're still having a Zoom meeting unless it's really important, which is great. I believe that life extension will be by design. Why? Because imagine, if you are not using your body that much, you're not traveling too much, you're safe, your real body in a very safe environment, you're probably gonna live longer. We don't know, but maybe. And new relationship models. If every consciousness will have many bodies and many lives, the new forms will appear eventually. And before I finish, I want you to think about one day from your future. Imagine it. You wake up in the early morning with your real body, and one copy of yourself already exploring the depth ocean in Australia in a special avatar. Another is playing in theater on stage in Paris. Another is studying in Harvard. Another one is building a startup in Silicon Valley. And in the evening, you're switching to your copy in Rome to have dinner in your favorite restaurant. And all of it, it's you. It's real you. All the sensations, all the memories, all the emotions, it's all you. And I want to finish it with the thought that right now it's a huge shift in brain-computer interface area. And we are creating the platform for future companies, future people who will create application. And I want you to think of how do you see yourself in the new era of brain-computer interface. Thank you so much. I was very happy to be here. Here is my contacts. If you want to discuss anything, I will be very happy to do so. Again, my name is Tetiana Aleksandrova. The first QR code is my LinkedIn, so please feel free to reach me out.